Here's another great example on the acid rain in Florida underneath my truck, where obviously, there wasn't rain. It's the normal whitish, grayish sand, but the rest of it is just this orange color. It's absolutely terrible. So again, you can see these white spots where I'm walking, and in the orange, they're just that nasty orange color. It's just really depressing to look at, because this messes up with the pH of my ponds by a lot. It pretty much drops it down significantly and stuff, and messes with plants. I notice fungus growth, spider mites, and just issues, just diseases immediately after these types of rains, which is very common. So as you see, this is what my soil is supposed to look like, or my sand. White, gray, right? Normal sand. That video that you saw is about half a year old. And I did notice it again. So right now is winter time. I did notice it again a couple weeks ago after I flew back from a trip, and we haven't had any rain here for almost a month. And then finally again we got a rain, and there was an orange crust. You walk over and crunch, crunch, crunch. So after a couple weeks, what I noticed is that it seems like all the whatever it is in the air, comes down. And then after a few weeks of good rains, all that stuff gets flushed out and washes off, and well, you pretty much have normal soil again. So I do want to mention why this is a very, very serious issue. And there's two things I noticed by talking to farmers in the past year, and by talking to people around me. There's two things I noticed. Is firstly, everyone is experiencing problems of this, and it's very, very serious. They're going to drastic measures to try to solve it. But the second thing I noticed is nobody has any clue what the cause is. And from what I understand, I'm the only one who noticed this. So firstly, I want to start from the very beginning how I noticed this. So I did hydroponics a long time ago, and I noticed this issue where the pH in my ponds, or in my aquaponics, would just crash. Just crash, and there'd be root rot, plants would die, all these issues. And I wasn't figuring it out. I'm like, what is going on? Because they would grow fine for almost a month. Plants would grow great, so beautiful, so healthy, and all of a sudden, it's like literally almost overnight, they just stopped growing and just start rotting. I couldn't figure out what it was, and I noticed this weird thing where I had two rows of hydroponics. One was under my solar panels, one wasn't. And I noticed the ones that were under my solar panels were growing okay, but the ones that weren't under my solar panels were having this issue almost immediately. The ones under the solar panels eventually over time also developed root rot, but I noticed the ones not under the solar panels, even though I would do flushes, I would try everything pretty much just to restart the system, power drill, brush it out, clean all the pipes, everything. Doesn't matter, they would almost immediately start having root rot issues. I'm like, what is going on? And it was a very depressing thing. I almost gave up. No, not almost. I did keep giving up on doing hydroponics, because it just wouldn't work. So then I started having these above ground pools and stuff, and I noticed another weird thing about them. Again, the everything in there would grow great, everything in there would grow fine and alive, and I would just have measured the pH, and again the pH would drop like crazy, keep dropping like crazy, and I was really baffling, really confusing. And I started adding, I tried doing many things, and the one thing I realized is if I added calcium carbonate, which is basically limestone, it would reverse the effects of whatever was going on. So I kept adding lime, and that seemed to fix the issue. But then finally this year I noticed the rain, and I noticed the orange haze. I'm like, oh, this is weird. What is this? And then right before the very first time I noticed that, there was this month period where I flushed out my water, put it in the ponds, put in new water, and for a month everything grew so fabulous, so beautiful, so perfect. I'm like, wow, great, finally. I don't know what the hell happened, but my plants and fish and shrimp have stopped dying. Awesome, finally. And then finally I got a rain, and I checked the pH, and the pH crashed. It crashed to below 4, which is almost, I was the same pH as vinegar. It was just insane. and I'm like, okay, I see what's going on. So something from the rain is dropping down and causing this. Now, mainstream science, mainstream media, they say that the blame is from sulfur dioxide, which comes from power plants and diesel burning. So, not entirely sure on that. I think we need to do very, very clear research on what it is, and it's very easy to do research on this. I just don't have the tools or money to focus on that. But this is a very serious problem. And now let me get into the serious problem that I noticed with other farmers. So, if first time I noticed it, I went to a local farmer here, and he was doing organic composting, and he was describing how a lot of people around him were going to him to, for education, help, tutoring, how to farm properly, how to farm better. And he pointed out this one farm locally that was using so much copper. When I read the numbers, I was just shocked. I'm like, is this real? Is this correct? Like, why does he have so much? Like, he had tons. He only this farmer that reached out to him. He only had a couple acres, but he had tons of copper in his soil. I was shocked. I'm like, man, you can start a copper mine. You can start a business mining copper on your property. What's going on? He's like, oh, no. It's because he's adding copper sulfate for anti-fungicide. I'm like, oh, I see. And then I remembered back to my ponds. I was having fungus issue. Same thing with my aquaponics. I was having these issues with fungal rot. And even with my plants, just in my plants in the soil, I noticed the same exact problem. After a rain, after a long period of no rain, and then finally we get our first rain, and there'd just be fungus growing all over my plants. I'm like, what the hell? And that's when it clicked. I'm like, oh, so all these people around, not around, this is happening throughout the world, but all these people, having to desperately use fungicide and all this to treat their plants. Well, that's the reason why, because of this acid rain. And another farmer I met recently, he had recently got a greenhouse for his place, for his plants, and he also described how, man, I don't know why, but all my plants that grow under this greenhouse, all my plants that don't grow under it, they grow night and day different, absolutely night and day. And I told him, I'm like, that's because of the acid rain. And again, I've experienced that with all my plants under my solar panels. I've always thought it was because of the shade, and yes, shade is definitely beneficial to plants here in Florida because our sun is too intense. However, it's significantly due to the acid rain, simply because of that. And again, nobody's talking about this. Nobody's mentioning how devastating it is. Like, as a farmer, you try to grow anything and it just dies. It just just can't grow, and you can't figure out why. And so yeah, one thing that I hope I can solve with this, at least in terms of aquaponics, hydroponics, is with my system that I've been developing, this electrolysis membrane system. Pretty much using electrolysis, you're able to pull all the pretty much neutralize the water and remove all the extra sulfur ions, all the extra stuff that's being dumped from these rains, and pretty much treat your water using just electricity. Haven't tried it yet. I really want to experiment with that soon, but that is one potential. But that's not the end solution we need to have. We seriously need to have discussion on who's dumping all this stuff in the air. And yeah, so I hope this video can help people, because I keep telling everybody and they don't believe me until I show these videos, and they're like, what? And again, I only noticed this effect because recently I cleared out my property. I rented a skid steer and cleared out my property. Before it was just all trees, and I never noticed the orange haze until I cleared it out, and now I have this white soil. And finally, whenever I get a rain after a long period, it's just orange. I'm like, the hell? People suggest it was pollen. People suggest it's this, but it's not. It's clearly from something in the rain. So again, I hope this video helps you. And if you encountered anything like this, please post a comment, post your thoughts, and hopefully we can get some change, especially with this upcoming administration year, and actually making the environment cleaner. So Thank you for watching, and please subscribe if you're interested in a lot more creativity and inventions I'll be posting.